Hello. This wasn't really a plan for a stream or not. It's Joe's birthday, so happy birthday, Joe. Happy birthday, Jack Nicholson, too. So today I'm gonna do some more blocking. At this point now I'm gonna start painting, so I'm probably going to maybe do this as often as I can for streams, even though I want to keep the streams regularly running every other night. I'm not sure whether I'm going to do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Right now we're doing Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So, okay, I bought some new paints. Burnt Umber, which is a darker brown, which I'm going to do some more inside the main characters with. I bought a cadmium yellow, pearl red, and a couple of new brushes. One of them is a liner brush, but I won't be using this liner brush until much later. The other is a round brush, which I probably will be using once I can't fit the flats in the smaller spots. So I'm going to start off, the idea with what I'm going to start off with is putting some of the darker blue in the sky so that I can make the outline of both Cthulhu and the moon and some of the cliffs, because some of the characters are not going to be outlined by it. Some of them will. That way it'll show clearer. And we need some music. I sure wish I could play regular music. This is ultramarine blue. What I've done to the Burnt Sienna is sprayed a little bit of little mist of water on it, and that should keep it available to activate. Turn the canvas upside down to start, so hopefully you can see where I'm going to work. This might be the hardest spot until over here. There's not a whole lot, I guess. Just open sky. I'm not something over. I also have water to rinse the brushes. And some thinner. I usually like to use the thinner, but I think I'm going to worry about that more after I get the blocking mostly done. That sounds like my wife mixing coffee or tea. So by choosing to withhold the thinner, they dry faster. Normally, paints take a couple of days to dry, and with the thinner, they seem almost ready to reactivate at will. But because what I'm setting on, or doing really, is a base coat that I'm going to embellish on. I want it to dry faster so I can darken it in. See, you can see the edges now. A little bit. I'm like running right up to the arm that holds the camera, so this is really hard to paint with this hand. This blue is pretty bright blue, even though it seems darker. I don't know what it looks like to you guys, because I know Joe says he can see it better than I can on camera. I obviously can see it pretty well here, but tried to get a co-host so this wouldn't be boring, but no one wants to hang online with me. Gotta watch bumping my mic with my other arm. If I bump it with my other arm underneath, it will mute it. Somebody talk. Hey, someone's here. I definitely need a co-host. I don't talk much when I'm working. And when I do, mostly you should probably ignore it. You're currently cramming food in your mouth. I did that already. Eli likes to eat about 5 o'clock. And if you're not preparing food at 5 o'clock, he will let you know until the food is prepared that it's time for dinner. It's kind of one of the reasons that I stream this late. He's been on vacation, but he's been ill, so he didn't really get to do anything on vacation. But yet, he's still just as excited to go back to school. I never was that excited for school. To my knowledge, none of my kids were either. Unless it was for a short time. Or it had something to do with someone they liked. Ah, I see. We don't really do that much here, but once in a while. Truth is, we don't usually have fend for yourself stuff. I have dietary restrictions. This blue looks so much darker on camera, or at least on what I can see on camera. It's a good idea to wet and rinse your brush every once in a while. You'd think, but as long as I've been doing this, that I would be super comfortable edging up and just go, but I'm never comfortable in the early stages of a painting. I believe it's how I work. Trying to avoid going to the round brush before I have to, because I really like the round brush and I will want to paint a lot more than what I'm setting out to once I get started with it. But some places are just too small for a chisel. You can see this sliding around because it's already gotten tacky where I can tap the previous paint that started to dry with this brush and pull it a little bit. I think it's time to rinse this brush and get the round out. I was watching a guy paint earlier, and he's showing you how to clean out the brush. And he's showing you how to pre-mix your colors. And so there's two schools of thought on that. One of them is not to pre-mix your colors. I kind of tend to go towards that. I used to be the other way because I wanted that very complete control. But I like the idea of pushing and pulling as you're going. And really I'm not doing much of that right now, laying down this blocking in, but will be. So I took this new round and I wet it a little bit. I don't want to keep it really wet, but I want to nimble up the brush and help the flow of the paint. So many places to go. Definitely one of the positives of acrylics are that they dry pretty fast on the normal. So unless you thin them, that's a little bit tacky. These are slower drying. But unless you thin them, usually they're dry so quickly that you can lean on them during the painting, but not these ones. They're not slow drying. Or not fast drying, not slow drying. They are slow drying. Usually a round is about my favorite paintbrush to use when I'm working with acrylics. It's probably the closest to a pencil or marker tip. these new brushes I bought are not cheap brushes. Went to an art store downtown Portland. Because I find increasingly that Michaels and Hobby Lobby are really using pretty cheap materials and supplies. Like, you go to look for opens and you might find a sample pack. You can't find the specific colors. Now, you can do that online, but and I did that with my green gold. I ordered green gold from Amazon. But if I really, like, I wanted something dark and not black to go to for the cloaks and the actual, like the Burnt Sienna I put down last time looks really red on camera. It doesn't look as red here, but it does look a lot more red, and that's because of the Payne's gray underneath of it. So I decided I wanted a darker bluer brown. So that's the thing with the neutral colors. You can darken that up. I could have mixed some blues with the Burnt Sienna and gotten a darker color hue. But I didn't want to take the chance on them drawing on me and trying to mix that exact color again, and I want to be able to blend it later on from that specific color. So I got a tube. You can start to see Cthulhu. This is the moon. This is the tentacles, wings, some of them. Like I was saying before, I can never really do wings so that you can keep them on the same page. They always end up going off the page when I do open wings. And given Cthulhu's body posture, I thought his wings need to be open. Like, they need to look like they just snapped open. Hopefully I've achieved that. They look good to me. All said and done, though, there's only one person they really have to look good for, and that's the guy that's buying it. It's paying for this to be done. I am fortunately pickier than him in the process, so dabbed across the tentacle, wiped off all the stuff that I did so I could redo it again. Uh-huh. I should say a word of thanks to my patron for allowing me to stream this process. Because some would not. Ooh. Once again, spinning the canvas panel. And you can't see what I'm doing. That's okay, just a small wedge anyway. I do not think you do, Brett. I do not think you do. I would be surprised if you did. He is not a part of the Reading world. He was a tattoo client. I'm reluctant to mention his name because I don't know if you want it. And as generous as he has been and is being, I want to respect his privacy if he wants it. Like, he may not care, but I want to give him the option to say he don't care or not. No, it's none of the guys that we normally associate with. and he's not a writer. I imagine if it was a writer, I would be doing that person's character and not Cthulhu. I don't know if we know anyone together that isn't a writer. Because that tends to be the circles that we run. I'm overheating, so I'm going to take my sweatshirt off, which means I'm going to give my brush a rinse and the paint a little spritz. And that's the paint I'm using, not the paint that's on the canvas, hopefully. Because I just want to keep it moist. I don't like that. It's like I'm seeing the brush that wants to have hairs fling about. Alright, be right back. Alright, I'm back. I feel like a woman going through menopause. Hot, cold, freezing, stifling. Brushes in hand. It's going to be a big fire through here too, so... Guess I'm gonna need a little more glue. Hmm. Probably could have left off with this brush and went back to the other one. Let's see. Try to get the things that I need to get while I'm in here. It really is better with the other brush. Except for limited engagements with this right now. Now when I go into modeling and shaping or giving some dimensions to the shape, which is what modeling is, it's not the detail, it's the stage just before the detail. And I'll be using that brown brush pretty much for most of it. So I can lay a lot of paint on this guy. And get some pretty good edge work too. Never sure how far down you guys can see. No, nothing I'm going to do is going to fix that, so let's try this. You finished that book yet? It was a quick read for me. I mean, it's stilted, the dialogue is stilted, but like I said, I know it's stilted because it's supposed to be an adult that's a school teacher trying to tell a story of when she was a child using very proper language. And I don't think that comes across in the newest version of the movie because it just sounds like stilted dialogue there. Well. That will definitely slow both of them down. I can't really talk much because I'm reading From Russia with Love, as well as The Unlikely Spy and Listening to a Prayer for Me. I'm gonna go hang out on someone else's channel. Somebody else has got to run the channel. Running out of places to put it. When finished, this is going to be a darker spot because it's the contrast between the flame and the blue sky. But like I said, I wanted a base to work off of, so this is as good as any. Here's one for you. The light is giving in my light. I found myself wishful thinking that I'm going to get more done than I do about every single time. And before anyone asks, yes, I'm intentionally showing that you can cross lines you don't want to cross, and it's not a ruined painting. It's actually pretty true of almost all types. Wheels you can push and pull. Watercolors, for the most part, if they're pretty fresh, you can wipe them off. Gouache is basically watercolor. Yes, throw the new paint on the floor. Just shaking it up, even though it's in a tube. So there's a lot going on here with shape. I'm gonna go back to the round brush for a little bit. I think we're just gonna get this block of glue done for the night. I've been really wanting to make a smaller How long have I been drawing? That's a good question. I can't promise I have an accurate answer. I don't remember a time when I haven't drawn. How long have I been drawing professionally? Well, that would be probably about 30 years. How long have I been trying to get better drawing? That would probably be my whole life. Still trying to get better. Developed my own style a long time ago, but I find that artists lean on styles. And I don't want to do that. I want to be more versatile than the next artist. Or at least than I am. Really, that's what you should be judging yourself by as an artist. Not by somebody else, but by yourself. How far you've come, how far you want to go. If you're happy where you're at, happy with what you're doing, then that's fine. somebody will like it. For me, I don't stop until I'm happy with what I see, but I always feel like I can do more. So I always try to. Yes, if you keep practicing painting and drawing for 30 years, you can suck too. Hmm. Let's change soundtracks for a minute. Because that one's getting old a little bit. I've got to find more music that I can tolerate. They say they can tell a lot about a painter by his brush strokes. I'm afraid anything that they're going to gain from my brushstrokes is going to be certifiable. I don't draw with paint, although, to be honest, I'm interested in the idea. I've seen a lot of admirable artists do just that. And I can't use the oils because I can't breathe the oils in. And I'm not in a super well ventilated place. So, what is the pity? Plus they're a pain in the ass to clean up. Ah. I'm running out of fingers. Let's stop messing up then. Interesting. No sooner than I say I gotta stop screwing up than the supporting hand that I'm leaning on with my painting hand keeps slipping off the desk. Guess I'm gonna have to get more ultramarine blue soon too. Who's still with me?
Wow.
Happy birthday.
What's up? Thank you, man. Yeah.
Looks ugly as shit with the with the light, but you can see the shapes better.
Yeah, I see what's happening. Very groovy, man. How you been, man? How's it going?
Oh, I've been.
I got your messages after I got home, dude. My phone I can't get phone calls. I can't do anything unless I'm around Wi-Fi. So,
Huh.
Trying to switch over to Mint Mobile, but it's crap. I'm trying to switch it, and they want my account number from this one, but I'll go into that later. It's a bunch of crap.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Brett's still around. How's it going, Brett?
I don't know if he's still here.
All right. Well, if he is, hi. If he's not, well, watch.
That was about an hour ago. He was eating them, you know.
Right on. Right on, man. 6 9 Gogito. Yeah.
We got our favorite fan stuff in for a minute.
Oh, that's cool. What kind? Did he have kind words for you today?
He asked me how long I've been drawing. It's the last post.
Oh, I see it. Okay. Well, maybe he's like, hey, this guy does know what the hell he's doing. What the fuck, man?
Well, I said, I don't know. I couldn't tell you how long I've been drawing, really, because I've been drawing so long I can't remember a time when I haven't been drawing. But I've been drawing professionally for 30 years.
Right.
That's pretty much the best I could give him.
Right.
You know, I'm like...
So, sorry it's so dark tonight, man. I didn't feel like setting up my lights. I wanted to get in here and say hey.
Oh, no worries. I actually... What I wanted to do was, like, I'm sitting around looking at this and I'm like, man, I just want to get painting, you know?
Right.
So what I did was I grabbed my ultramarine blue. I said I bought 2 different paints today.
Okay.
Yesterday. I bought a Pyro Red or Parole Red. It's Pyrrole.
Okay.
But it's a darker red than I already have, so I can do a little bit more. I can mix it with any of the browns and get a faded red color or whatever, but it also can go in his eye as a base so that I can whiten it up with the other colors.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can definitely see where the moon is.
Right on.
You can see the wingspan now.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Pretty clearly. Cliff. So I bought Burnt Umber, which is a darker brown, so that I could come in to the roads and the shadows of the cliffs and darken them out. Because this looks really red on screen.
All right.
It is not that red. It is a reddish brown, but it's not that red.
Right. Okay.
So
it looks like a burnt orange to me.
Right, and it shouldn't, because it's not really orange. It's brown.
Oh,
Let's see if I can get closer to the camera. See, it's a lot more brown.
Yeah,
even
look,
the blue.
it looks brown on the plate.
Now, when I put this plate up here, you see what happened to the blue in the background?
Yeah.
See how blue that is?
Yeah, definitely.
That's why I put this blue on there. Now, when I take it away, it kind of fades back a little bit. It's not as bright. When I put this up, look, comparison. It's way brighter because it focuses on this.
Right. And it's the contrast.
You can actually see the background is not quite as red when it focuses on this, but when I take it away.
Right on. Yeah.
I think it has a lot to do with the lighting. But so what I'm trying to do first and foremost is bring the figures out.
Okay.
Which is like what I managed to do. You can see his hand now a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
You can see the edge of the wings where it meets him.
Yeah.
There's blue in there, blue in there. The blue stops here because this is where the fire is going to come.
Right on.
I don't know for sure how far down it's going to come, but this, where this section on both sides is going to be a little bit darker because of, you know, where your smoke coming up in the night and all that.
Right on.
And I just went around here and here with a finer brush, and then a little bit in here just because it was really light. So that it's a little bit darker. And I'm probably going to mix a little bit of bone black in there.
Okay.
But it's going to be mixing with the colors. That's when I start painting.
Right.
So
right.
what I'm going to do is attack it piece by piece, just like I did with the drawing.
Yeah, yeah.
But the first thing I needed to do was get an overall everything in.
Yeah, you get it blocked out
So-
in the background.
Yeah, when I block it in, you know where the shadows are, you know where the cliffs are, you know where the main figures are.
Right, right.
So I'm going to work background to foreground this way. So I got all the sky, and I started with the foreground, which I probably shouldn't have, but I had the brown on hand, and I wanted to see how that brown, which was my normal underprinting color, would look on top of this gray. And it looks redder than it does without being on top of that gray. But, you know, I might even have an example at hand. Since Amanda set some order to this junk, referring to my work. Let's see how this shows up on camera. This is an underpainting I started for my shop,
Okay.
and it's in Burnt Sienna.
All right. Yeah, I see that.
And it's mainly the underpainting is for the tones,
Yeah.
so I don't have to guess where the lighter and darker tones are.
All right.
So I'm going to paint over that, and when I paint over that, most of it's not going to show through. But because there's no white left, because of that, like it's a very light wash of that color,
Yeah.
then any tone that's lighter than that goes on it is going to give me the feeling that it's lighter and it's three-dimensional.
Very cool.
That's actually what this is supposed to be. That's why I was disappointed that it ended up being so dark, but I probably should have taken a lot more time to prep it, but I wanted to do everything on camera, you know.
Right, right. Yep.
And that's so far I have been. Like I think this is kind of crazy to do it this way because I'm literally doing every little thing and trying new stuff while I'm working on camera, you know. So
Right, right. Yeah.
if I mess up, you're there to see every little mess up, and you know that I wasn't taken away from it. This is probably where I'm going to leave it for the night.
All right.
So, just talking with you for a couple of minutes because nobody else got to see the Joe and Rich show. Gonna spritz this with a little bit of water.
Keep it moist.
Yeah, it just keeps it wet. I don't know how long it's going to be before I go into the next one. The painting is hard for me to stop. It's hard to stop. Like,
Right, right. Yeah.
Because when you start, when you start doing the blending, you can't really stop with acrylics in the middle of the blending. Otherwise, you're going to have to use those two colors again, or use the thinner. And I probably will use the thinner after this is all dry.
Right.
This is pretty dry, so I could use thinner and do some detail on that. But before I do that, I'm going to go in with the burnt umber for a little bit.
Okay, cool.
And that's probably going to be next time. I'm going to figure out a base color for the moon. Maybe a egg white or eggshell, or a like off yellow color to start.
Right on. Okay.
I'm really tempted to do all this and then wash it all with green gold, which will give it a kind of darker tint. But I don't have a brush that big, or anything to mix a wash up like that.
Right on.
I might have to get a paper bowl and do a wash. I bought a big tube of green gold, and it should be able to do this whole thing. I also after I get these base colors done, then I'm really wanting to set up the easel and start working on the easel. And hopefully I don't block the work on the easel, but it's so hard to turn this here and turn this there and not knock the small light off. And once I got the easel set up, the lighting scheme is going to be just coming from behind me pretty much, I think. And maybe even, I would say maybe even just the overhead light, but maybe just the overhead light and this light off to this side, because that's a blue light, and the overhead light's kind of an orange light.
All right.
And when you get a mix of blue light and orange light, it's the closest thing to sunlight you can get.
Yeah.
And obviously the best thing that you can paint in is sunlight.
Natural light, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because if you're painting in natural sunlight, you see the natural color.
Right.
Like I said, this painting, if you look, you can see the strokes of this paint going through the blue.
Right, yeah. Let's see.
Because the blue is semi-transparent, like I said, so you're seeing that bounce back up to the blue. It's going to have to be a lot of layers before I get where I'm going.
Right.
But to block it out in this blue and go, okay, the sky's blue. Now I don't have to worry about doing the sky for now. I can add clouds and whatnot later on, if I'm going to. Now, I really don't want to add clouds. I think understatement in the sky is a better thing. Maybe a couple of stars. Because I'm going to do that transfer between the dark of the sky, the dark of the smoke, and then the very lights of the fire. It's going to have several transitions in here.
Right.
And so the figures, Cthulhu needs to be the thing that stands out.
Right. Yeah.
So if I simplify the sky enough to say, okay, there's a moon in the sky, he's got these giant wings, and that's it. I mean, this design right here, this layout is so that I can show that sweep of the wings. And you can imagine this wing, it runs out, but you can imagine.
But you can see with your mind's eye the full.
I mean, look how much that's left to go.
Yeah.
So you can imagine how immense he is. All of this is going to be pushing and pulling based on the light patterns. But if you think about it, moonlight doesn't shine from one direction.
Right. No.
It's really shining. it's really shining down on the sky, but everything that you're going to see in that swath of vision that you have, the moonlight's going to touch it pretty much from the same angle.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Firelight, however, is much more localized.
Right. Yeah.
So the firelight, it's going to play on this side of him, the front of him, the side and underneath of this cliff.
Mm-hmm.
I just got that kind of based in. When I add the darks are going to go up here, not really right here.
Okay.
Because I want to have some firelight really kind of obliterating or minimizing the edges here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like when I do her, it's not going to be a hard edge.
Right.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to actually finish that with the highlights and stuff. And I'm looking at the reference pictures and I'm going, man, I want to get there. Man, I want to get there. This guy,
Yeah.
I mean, imagine, you know,
Yeah.
firelight. See how dark it is because of that firelight?
Yeah.
That's going to be here.
All right.
He's going to be similar. I mean, this is, you know, somebody in Africa dancing around the fire, so obviously not him.
Right.
But see the light scheme? See how it hits her and
Yeah,
hits
yeah.
him? Two different angles. Well, this is the more front-angled person, and this is the more, you know, side-angled person.
Yeah. Yeah.
There isn't a person here in this picture, but I do have a reference for that too. And I'm excited to get there, you know, but to get there, I have to get this background done. So it's a base coat for the moon, and then I have to figure out exactly what I want to do for the tentacles. And that's going to be a little bit hard because I want to do the suction cups to look like it's a pinkish color.
All right.
But I may have to rethink that because in this light scheme, if it was just moonlight, you wouldn't see the pink because everything kind of grays out.
True.
And if it was just firelight, everything kind of reds out.
Right.
So I think I'm going to have to choose between graying it out a little bit and redding it out a little bit. Maybe doing some grays and mixing with some magentas. So gray will soften that color because it's a neutral color.
Yeah.
Whereas this blue is bright, and even this brown is bright because
What color is his base gonna be?
What's that?
What's gonna be the base color for Cthulhu himself?
Cthulhu is hot and cold colors.
Right.
So it's going to be the moonlight hitting him, and that's going to be not really much for color.
Right.
Like I say, not much for color, but it's going to be the blues, you know.
Right.
So it's going to be blues, and then it's going to be the firelight reflecting too. So we've got that mixture too. I also have a reference for that. It's nowhere near what the light scheme is here, but it plays on flesh, so I can see where there's some changes and how the chest rounds and whatever. And I can just reverse the colors where it needs to be reversed. But yeah, the color scheme is going to be hot and cold. Like that's why I'm tempted to go. Maybe I can just wash all over the blues with that green, you know, and even have the sky and the moon tinted green. Because that's a little bit insane in Cthulhu is madness, right?
Yes, definitely.
So my main, it's really exciting for me to backlight these people.
Right on.
Like I'm really having fun with the idea of backlighting them and blending the edges, like kind of I might even lose an edge on the girl for a little bit, which is really cool. So the light's coming around fades that edge out.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be pretty damn awesome.
Yeah. Awesome.
So, yeah. So the next stage, I guess, would be to pick what the moon is. Now, we're talking about this being transparent colors. You can see the texture through them and all that.
Yeah.
The more white I put in, the less that happens.
Right on.
The more white I put into it, the lighter it gets, the more opaque. So the harder to see through.
All right.
But the reason that I'm really tempted to use that green is because it's just an awesome kind of, not really pea soup green, but it just like an Overkill album or something, you know?
Right, it gives it that murky fucking...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like murky, swampy, nasty, whatever.
Yes, yeah. Got that creepy vibe.
So it's a matter of wanting to do that. If I do that, I have to do it all over everything that's tinged blue.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure I have to do that accurately after all the highlights are done from the blue. Usually I like to save the lightest lights for last.
Yeah. Yep. Well, dark light is usually how you work. Well, usually how I work.
Yes and no. I've taken to working from mediums out.
Okay.
Like the medium tones, so they would be called half tones. You think of when you're blocking, you're thinking of three different tones. You're thinking of absolute darkest, next to darkest, which would be your midtones or half tones, and then light.
Right.
So you're thinking of what's going to be light, what's going to be really dark, and what's going to be somewhere in the middle. And if you think of it in those terms and you build from the middle out, it's a little bit easier to gauge. That's this. It didn't look like a midtone when I set it down, right? Mm-hmm. But it looks a lot more like a midtone now with that darker blue, right?
Right.
When I put this darker brown down, it's going to look more like a mid-tone too. And every step of the way that I do that, it's going to... So I have some decisions that I can make, and I can make some decisions later. But because they're semi-transparent colors, I can thin them down and do a wash. So, for instance, if you wanted to do firelight, and something is rock colored or blue or purple on the other side, you can use a kind of reddish purple or a magenta for the edge of the Terminator. The Terminator is where everything drops off in the shadow. It's the darkest line on a rounded image.
Okay.
So that's where the light stops hitting. And underneath of that Terminator, there's a little bit of what's called bounce light, reflective light, that hits the ground underneath of that, or hits this, if you're holding an arm out, or if you look at my fingers, there's bounce light on this side of, this side of the finger.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because of this light. And when I go like this, you see how it's just a really thin bounce light?
Right on.
You see where the shadow is, and then there's the Terminator edge, or horizon line, however you want to call it.
Right.
Usually a horizon line, it's where your horizon would be, where your eyes look. But yeah, where it goes into the Terminator, Um, that's your darkest colors on that side of it. Now, when you have two lights, one of them that's coming from underneath and one of them that's coming behind,
Mm-hmm.
technically the Terminator is everything in between, you know? So, but instead of doing that, I'm gradually going back into shadow. See what I mean? So
Yeah,
there'll
yeah.
be shadow up here, and there'll be shadow in the neck. But there'll be like a little bit of light from the moon on the top of his collarbone, hinting where that collarbone is.
Right, okay. Yeah.
We don't need all the details. Your mind going to fill a lot of those details. And he's immense, which makes me tempted to do all the little details. But he's so immense that these people are looking at him from a distance, and at a distance you see less details.
Right.
So I'm making all kinds of decisions constantly throughout this piece about what I want to bring out. This is the piece that I wanted to originally do for Cthulhu. But I'm glad that he waited to tell me or to give me the okay, because now this is going to be the centerpiece. And these would have been like really just cloaked figures with hands.
All right. Yeah.
Because they were just meant to be worshippers. Now, they're still kind of just figures, but there's a little bit more personality in them.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
this guy's arms are crossed. She's, raising him or worshiping him, or however you want to look at it.
Right.
And he looks like he's casting a spell, So,
yeah.
And then Cthulhu is rising, but he don't look happy.
Yeah. He never does. Huh?
I'd be happy if there was a naked woman that close in front of me, but
Yeah, especially position where she's at. I would ride.
I guess maybe she could have a fish face.
Well, that's even better.
Maybe it's not. Maybe he's sick of fish. He's been under the ocean for so long. Maybe he's sick of it.
Maybe she's part carp. Get that fresh water.
So I think I am going to be able to glaze some green in there,
Right.
even if I don't do it over the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
On the wings.
All right.
What I'm really excited thinking about with the wings is to make them
Yeah, no, sorry.
red, orange, because of the fire.
Right.
But where they reach too far out from the fire, it might be reasonable to tint them with that green,
Okay. Yeah.
And that's a decision I have to make before I actually do it, because if you put that green gold over the reds and oranges that I'm going to do for the wings, it might turn them to brown, because you're mixing green and yellow with,
Right.
well, I don't know, it's green and yellow with oranges and yellow, so it's just a matter of what the green and the orange are going to mix to. And generally I can get this kind of brown when I'm mixing, orange and lighter green.
Right.
The rule of thumb is that if you mix two colors that are opposite on the color wheel,
Yeah.
then you're going to get what's called a neutral.
Right.
They neutralize each other, and
Right.
neutrals come in two basic forms: brown, or earth tone, or gray. So the two ways you can gray something out is to use black and white to gray it out, gray to gray it out, or to use a little bit of that opposite color. So
All right.
I'm gonna end the stream here because I've got only one viewer, and that's probably Dan watching it in the background.
All right.
And I can talk to you for a minute afterwards.
All right.
I don't know if unplugging the earphones will work. It didn't last time, but you know.
Right.
Funny, right after I shut this down, it worked. Like, son of a... All right. So, thanks for watching, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Like and subscribe. Next episode, we'll be blocking a little bit more. Hopefully, the moon and the darks in the cloaks and in the figures, so that I'll bring the figures out a little bit more.
All right.
Actually, that will be a little bit of work on Cthulhu too. All right. Good night.
Good night. Later, Dan.
See you, Dan.